Welcome back, listeners. This is the Biohacking Consultant, and I'm your host, Dr. Farah Fatani. My career spans in both the clinical and operational sides of medicine in America and the Middle East for almost 15 years, and I started this podcast as an extension of my mission at FAF Advisory, which is to spread wellness and help you achieve peak body performance and longevity. Today we'll be discussing how centuries-old Eastern and Middle Eastern practices align with modern biohacking. First, what is biohacking? It's an optimization of mind, body, and performance. So these concepts that we'll be discussing today have been around for thousands and thousands of years and have been really proven to work for these civilizations. Well, you see the longevity that these civilizations have. And one of these very impressive civilizations are, of course, the Japanese. Now, the Japanese, they have these very minimalistic, very nature as medicine sort of concepts. And they also have this concept that you may or may not have heard of called ikigai. So ikigai is a Japanese term that roughly translates into a reason for being. So it is essentially your purpose in life. And what it represents is the sweet spot where your personal passion, mission, profession, and vocation all intersect. So to explain this concept a little further, it's essentially visualized as 4 overlapping circles. So it's what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. And at the center of these things is the concept of ikigai, which is essentially a guiding force that provides fulfillment, motivation, long-term well-being. Studies have actually shown that having a strong sense of purpose is linked to lower levels of inflammation, better heart health, and increased longevity. It also leads to more sustainable practices because it naturally guides people towards habits that, well, they already enjoy that tie into their purpose. So that makes them more effective over time. For example, choosing long daily walks in nature for the love of the outdoors and reflecting versus forcing, intense HIIT workouts because it's quote unquote optimal. Having ikigai is a natural neurochemical hack leading to motivation, resilience, and essentially creative problem solving. Strong evidence of this is seen in Okinawa, Japan, which is one of the world's regions with unusually high longevity. The concept is deeply embedded in their cultural philosophy. The elders in these communities often attribute their long, joyful lives to having a clear sense of purpose. Another concept or practice coming out of Okinawa, Japan is called hara-hachi-bu. Essentially what that is just eating until you are 80% full rather than complete fullness. So what that does is it leaves space for digestion, prevents overeating. It's essentially mild caloric restriction. And it's not just cultural. I mean, this is backed by modern science. Multiple studies in mice, monkeys, and humans have shown that mild caloric restriction without malnutrition can increase lifespan, improve metabolic health, and reduce risk of disease. So hara-hachi-bu is essentially built-in caloric moderation without, the stress of tracking your macros or extreme fasting. What it does, naturally, is improve insulin sensitivity because when you avoid overeating, you help maintain stable blood sugar and better insulin function. It also helps to preserve gut-brain communication by not overwhelming your system. And not only that, this concept essentially mimics intermittent fasting because it creates natural caloric pauses. It prevents insulin spikes. It reduces oxidative stress, supports cellular repair, encourages intentionality when you're eating, and trains hunger awareness. So all of these, it's not really I wouldn't call it a weight loss hack. It's more of a mindset, and it essentially reflects moderation, mindfulness, and respect for your body. And again, in Okinawa, which is known for its longevity of its residents, this simple principle has been woven into their daily lives. And it's a major reason why Okinawans tend to have lower rates of obesity, lower rates of diabetes and chronic disease, and higher proportion of a healthy population. So, my favorite of the concepts that we're discussing today is forest bathing. And this is a concept that originated in Japan in the 1980s. And essentially, this was developed as a public health intervention to combat urban stress, tech overload, and chronic disease. So, what it does is it encourages people to slowly walk through or sit in a natural forest setting. And what you want to do is breathe in deep, take in the sights and the sounds, the smells and textures of the environment. It's not really hiking or exercising in nature, it's basically being one with nature. So, what you want to do and how you want to practice forest bathing is you choose a natural setting. You leave all your devices behind or you put them in airplane mode. You walk around slowly, not necessarily with any destination, but with full awareness, and you engage your senses. So look at the shapes of the trees, the shadows, the sunlight. Listen to the wind, the birds, the running water if there's water nearby. Smell the forest, smell the pine needles, touch the bark, the moss, the soil. And then you want to sit and let your body relax in the environment. And you stay for about a half hour is what I like, but an hour, a half hour to an hour. And the benefits of this is it reduces your cortisol levels, your blood pressure, and slows your heart rate. Also, the trees release these antimicrobial essential oils, okay, that increase your NK cell activity. That's your natural killer cell activity, and that is key for immune defense and cancer surveillance. It also reduces symptoms of anxiety, depression, improves your focus, even in people with ADHD. So 20 minutes in nature can significantly increase positive emotions and parasympathetic activity. So next I want to talk about matcha and green teas. They provide clean, sustained energy from caffeine and L-theanine, and they enhance alpha brain waves, which promote relaxed, focused attention, which is good for meditation and creative flow. So some hacks you could do with matcha and green tea if you're looking for a morning focus stack. You could pair matcha with collagen and adaptogens like ashwagandha, and that'll improve focus while protecting your adrenals. If you're on a fast, green tea will help suppress your appetite, boost fat metabolism, and provide antioxidants. If you are looking to enhance your flow or looking to meditate, drink matcha before journaling or breath work, and that'll induce a calm and focused state. Now, if you're looking to make your own nootropic stack, I would pair matcha with L-theanine and magnesium, and that gives you a clean, balanced cognitive fuel source. Now, of course, the Japanese are not the only ones who've had some incredible ancient remedies. So coming out of the Middle East, there is something called black seed oil. So black seed oil has incredible anti-inflammatory properties. It has antioxidant properties. In modern times, it's been labeled as a superfood that helps combat chronic and low-grade inflammation. It gets those properties by a key active compound that it has called thymoquinone. It also has antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial properties. They take it during the cold and flu season to prevent any sort of cold or flu. Also, it's great for metabolic health and weight management because it improves insulin sensitivity, blood sugar regulation, and lipid profiles. It's also great for cognitive and neuroprotective benefits. The thymoquinone, what it does is it crosses the blood-brain barrier and it offers antioxidant and anti-inflammatory protection for neurons. It supports memory, learning, and protection against neurodegeneration, for example, Alzheimer's. It also promotes hormonal and skin health because it supports thyroid function, especially in subclinical hypothyroidism. It can reduce acne, psoriasis, and eczema, and it contains essential fatty acids that nourish the skin, hair, and nails. So how should one use black seed oil? Well, you can dose it at half a teaspoon a day to start with. You can move up to 1 teaspoon a day depending on how you like the taste and what you're looking to get out of it. Also, you can pair it with honey or turmeric. Traditionally, it's paired with honey. And you want to time it in the morning. You want to take it in the morning with food because it can be energizing for some people. And also, what's really interesting about black seed oil, it's actually derived from a plant called Nigella sativa. And another name for it is black cumin. And black cumin, I don't know if any of you are religious out there, black cumin was indirectly referenced actually in the Bible in the book of Isaiah. When he has leveled its surface, does he not sow the black cumin and scatter the cumin? For black cumin is not threshed with a threshing sledge. So this is Isaiah 28, 25, 27. That's the New King James Version. Not only does it date back to that, also the Islamic prophet named it as one of the recommended foods, stating that black seed is a cure for every disease except death. Which reminds me of a very interesting article I came across. This was actually published in 2018 in the National Library of Medicine. So the article was called Links Between the Prophet Muhammad, Recommended Foods, and Disease Management, a review in the light of modern superfoods. It's a very fascinating read because it links what in modern times we call superfoods, foods like dates, pomegranates, olives, figs, grapes, and black seed. I mean, these foods were an integral part of the Prophet's diet and have been found to possess various pharmacological actions, including anti-diabetic, anti-cancer, immune modulating, analgesic, anti-inflammatory, and hepatoprotective effects as well, which means protects your liver. So it's really interesting. It's all because of that active ingredient in there called thymoquinone. Other popular remedies in the Middle East come from herbs like fenugreek. Fenugreek, which they call hulba, promotes blood sugar regulation, lactation support, and boosts testosterone. Also, frankincense and myrrh has anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial properties used for brain and immune health. Another big hack in the Middle East is going to be camel milk. The consumption of camel milk supports immune system because it's got immunoglobulins and lactoferrins that help fight off bacteria and viruses and inflammation. Also, it has natural microbacterial peptides. So these peptides support the body's defenses without overactivating the immune system. And what's special about this milk is that it's so low in allergenic protein. So it doesn't have A1 casein, it's easier to digest, and it's pretty much often very well tolerated by people with dairy sensitivities or IBS. It is gut healing. Studies have also shown that camel milk may reduce inflammation markers and modulate immune responses in certain conditions like autism, type 1 diabetes, thyroid disease, and rheumatoid arthritis. Camel milk will also regulate your blood sugar and support your metabolism because it naturally contains insulin-like proteins that improve glucose uptake. They also reduce insulin resistance and support metabolic health. There are also studies that have shown that camel milk can support mental clarity and focus, reduce brain fog. And camel milk, you can find it at any local Middle Eastern store. They usually have them in bottles. Sometimes they've got it in powdered form or frozen, and it is quite expensive. So I would start out with half a cup a day. Maybe mix it with some MCT oil or collagen, and see how that works out for you. Next, I've got some ancient medicine from India called Ayurveda. Ayurveda basically offers a holistic approach to health, and it aligns closely with modern biohacking principles. So what's central to Ayurveda is the concept of 3 doshas. And these doshas, what they are is essentially they're just categories. So these categories, to figure out which category you fit under, you'd have to assess your physical traits, mental patterns, digestion, your energy levels, and your emotional tendencies. So the 3 doshas or categories are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So Vata people usually have qualities of air and ether. So their bodies are usually thin, light-framed, dry, cold skin. They're usually pretty creative, quick thinkers, easily distracted. As far as digestion, they're prone to bloating and irregular appetites. And also, they can be pretty anxious people. They're anxious under stress, and they've got bursts of energy followed by fatigue. So the second category is called Pitta. So these people have qualities of fire and water. So their bodies are usually medium built, warm skin. They're pretty sharp, ambitious, focused, also can be irritable, pretty impatient. They're prone to getting angry as well. They've got strong appetites and prone to heartburn. Now, Kapha is the third category, and they've got qualities of earth and water. So they're larger build, oily skin, slow metabolism. Their mind is usually pretty calm, steady, can be resistant to change, but they're quite loyal. Digestion is slow, and they're usually pretty low on appetite as well. Quite lethargic, pretty emotionally heavy under stress. And understanding one's dominant dosha can guide personalized lifestyle choices, including diet, exercise, daily routines, and that helps to maintain balance and prevent disease. Because basically, a key Ayurvedic practice is your daily routine, and they call it dinacharya. So that basically emphasizes aligning one's activities with their natural circadian rhythms. So that includes waking up before sunrise, performing self-care rituals like tongue scraping or oil pulling, and eating meals at consistent times. So these routines are basically believed to synchronize our body's internal clock, which promote optimal health and well-being. So it's essentially living how humans were supposed to live, right? How we're built to live. So Ayurveda also places significant importance on Agni, which is digestive fire. So this is considered vital for transforming food into energy and nutrients. So a strong Agni, what they call it, is associated with good digestion, metabolism, and immunity. And then having a weak Agni can lead to toxin accumulation and different illnesses. Now, also within Ayurvedic practices, herbal remedies known as rasayanas are also used to rejuvenate the body and the mind. So, for example, they'll use adaptogens like ashwagandha or shilajit, which have been traditionally employed to enhance vitality, reduce stress, and support longevity. And let's not forget that mind-body practices like yoga or breathwork, what they call pranayama, are integral to Ayurveda because they promote mental clarity, emotional balance, and spiritual control. These practices are basically designed to harmonize the body's energies and support overall health. So by integrating these Ayurvedic principles with contemporary biohacking strategies, you can create your own personalized wellness plan that addresses your physical, mental, and spiritual health. The next practices I'm going to talk about are rooted in traditional Chinese medicine. Now, these are called Qigong and Tai Chi. So, if you've ever gone to the park and you've seen, some of these, it's usually an older Asian crowd that are doing these very slow, sort of rhythmic, stretchy sort of movements. I like to describe it as a sort of slow motion karate. That is called Tai Chi, and that is a form of martial arts that is very flowy, and it's basically described as meditation in motion. And what it does is it promotes fluid strength, balance, and internal awareness. And Qigong is basically the breathing technique and meditative movement that's done within Tai Chi. And what it does is cultivate and balance life energy, which in Chinese is Qi, and that's why it's called Qigong. So how that ties into the human body and modern day biohacking is basically it regulates your nervous system. So through slow rhythmic movement activities, it basically regulates your parasympathetic nervous system, and it increases your HRV, which is your heart rate variability. And that is a key marker of resilience and longevity, and that's why that's important. Also, with the breath control and low impact movement, it improves cellular oxygenation and mitochondrial function. Also, obviously, it'll improve mobility, balance, longevity, also mind-body synchrony. And how that does it is it strengthens the connection between body and mind, improving focus, mood regulation, emotional resilience, and it builds up alpha brain waves, which basically supports creativity and gives you a more relaxed awareness. Qigong has also been used to reduce inflammatory markers and improve sleep, also to lower cortisol. So these are both ancient biological operating systems that modern science now validates. They basically enhance vitality, stress resilience, mental clarity with minimal physical strain. And you don't need fancy gear for it either, because it's literally just you and your body. So a lot of what we call quote-unquote biohacking today, like fasting or herbal supplementation, mindfulness, has been a part of everyday life in places like Japan, the Middle East, India, and China for generations. These cultures have figured out how to live in better sync with the body long before any wearables or apps came along. And what's more powerful is how these old practices still hold up. Things like forest bathing, eating simply, and using herbs like black seed or turmeric. They're practical, accessible, and backed by both tradition and growing science. For those of you still here and listening, it really means a lot because I don't have a social media team behind me. There's no podcast strategist or any of that like a lot of these bigger podcasters have. You know, it's literally just me and a microphone wanting to give you the best information I can and having something accessible for everybody. So if you want to help out the channel, like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you want to do, that is great. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, so catch us on whatever platform is most convenient to you. And as part of my mission, I do run a nonprofit called Fatani Autoimmune Foundation, where we believe that no one should face the challenges of autoimmune diseases alone. And our mission is to provide financial support for patients in need, educate the public on autoimmune disorders, and advance research for treatment and cures. So if you'd like to make a difference there, the link is donorbox.org/Fatani-autoimmune-foundation. Your contributions would be tax deductible. The link will be in the channel description. I hope you learned something today from this episode. We come out with a new episode every single Friday, so join us next week for a brand new episode and some more biohacks for your longevity. Later!